All right. Hi, everyone. Welcome back. All right. Today, we're going to make some progress on where Pabonka Rinpoche is describing to us why there might be various levels of presentation of emptiness, right? And what those various levels are meant for. And he really only gives like one line, right? He really just says, and for this type of student, we give them this. For that type of student, we give them that. And he moves on. And I thought it would be very useful for us as we finish up this term to talk about the various six levels of emptiness that get presented in all the Buddhist schools. So you can understand first, where is your understanding today? Right? If you're having an affliction and you're upset about something, what level of emptiness are you on? And if you're totally afflicted, maybe you're not even on a level of emptiness, right? Until you can accept that everything always changes. Everything will change. This too will pass, right? But the whole challenge is one, how to recognize what's going on. Like this is a personal path for you, right? And then where is your mind right now? That's the main thing. Like what is going on in your mind and heart right now? And how are you viewing things? What part of what you're viewing is self-existent? And what part of what you're saying you think you're understanding, you're actually still kind of in a lower school? And the point of that is not to be all judgmental and be like, oh my God, I don't understand. Where? Like, don't create a second affliction because you don't understand the first affliction. Right? Get it? Like, don't, no, 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 no. Like, just relax. Like, sometimes are the things that constantly get in our way and make us upset. It's then you need to look at it like, what is it about this space of actions or things that happen to me that I need to change? If it keeps happening to you, maybe there's a seed to change. Maybe there's something that's being purified. Maybe that's what that's your primary affliction. Excellent. Now you know it, right? Good. I am a jealous person. Thank you. Thank you, seeds, for pointing out to me that my jealousy gets in my way. And my jealousy gets in the way that I'm not able to see multiple points of view at once. And then I get upset, period, the end, right? And then I got to go through my whole process, which activates my nervous system, which activates all these different emotions until I can get out of it. And that's what the point of all the different schools of thought that the Buddha taught us. You will have afflictions, yes. If you didn't have them, then you don't need to be here, right? Then you wouldn't be here. There's no reason. There's no reason to sit in a class unless you're a Buddha and you're just trying to be like, let's talk about emptiness again. Cool, right? That's what Buddhists do, apparently. They go and get croissants and they talk about emptiness. How are we going to teach that person today? Right? What's going to get them closer to enlightenment? Right? And they're like getting all excited about it. Hold on, I need to close the window. right? And what's the point? Does anyone remember what Pabonka's point was before he's going to go into these discussions of the different types of emptiness? Does anyone remember from last week? Last Thursday? He said,
we have difference.
Just a tiny, I wasn't able to hear what you said. Just a tiny bit of doubt that something is not self-existent is enough to eventually rip the fabric of samsara away. Just a little bit of doubt. Now, how tough is it to rip that fabric? That's a different question, right? Are you ripping nylon leggings, right? Right? Or are you ripping Teflon infused polyester sweatshirts? Right? Nylons get ripped easily. Teflon, like the strongest fabrics out there, they don't rip as fast. They don't rip as easily, right? So, but just the little bit of doubt that something isn't self-existent is enough to tear the fabric of reality and destroy your wrong views about it. Like, if you're constantly having the same affliction over and over again, which we all do, right, Tracy? Yes, we all have the same thing, right? Until we don't anymore. And then something else comes back up. Then something else surges and then becomes I used to call it my arch enemy. I used to always have an arch nemesis, like one person that I disliked, always disliked. There's always one person that's causing me problems. And they're the source of every unhappiness I have, right? And once that arch nemesis is gone, I'll be happy. Then I work on the seeds for that arch nemesis and they're gone. Yes. And then about a week or two later, the arch nemesis appears again in a different form, different person, different form, right? That arch nemesis just keeps showing up over and over and over and over again. Sorry, right? It may not be the same affliction, but now you're at the next level, right? You're the next level down, right? So the more that you can doubt something is self-existent, the easier it is to tear at that fabric, right? And then you want to get to the point where you're tearing at the fabric that are just like nylon runners, right? Like nylon stockings. I don't know the words for these things, right? Where you can go, right? Just a little bit of, and then you rip them, right? But in the beginning, it's not always that easy, right? Like you might just get a little hole in that sweatshirt, right? I have a beautiful sweater they get these little holes in them, right? So then what is it that can create more of that doubt and the self-existence of the universe? Right. Thank you, Tracy. I couldn't figure out the name of the word. You knew I was struggling. I was like, what are these things called? They're called pantyhose in English. My brain was like, I don't know what they're called. But you get the idea, right? You get the idea. Like easily rippable fabric versus like, can't break it. So then the levels of emptiness become very, very important for us to understand. What is going to shift this reality for me? Right? See, Tracy, your examples are easier than or better than mine. Right. Until you rip your jeans and then they keep ripping. Right. So yeah, we're going to go through those 6 today. And this is a great way to end this term. Okay. All right, here we go. Wait a second. Wrong spot. I'm starting in the wrong spot. Hold on. Mm-hmm. That's where we stopped. Okay, we'll review that really quickly. I'm sorry, I was in the wrong class. Okay. All right, here we go. Okay. The last line we did was this one right here, which says Daini Tongpa Tenjongki Duntang, right? So the consequence school, the middle way, uniquely presents that emptiness is the whole point of dependence. Emptiness is the meaning done, right? And I'm translating as the whole point instead of just meaning, the whole point of dependence. And Tenjung, what's one on my screen? Tongpei dun du shepa shik leche. Okay. And then dependence is the whole point of emptiness. So these two things are the same opposite sides of the same coin, right? Dependence and emptiness, dependence and emptiness. Depending how you look at it, you get both. You can start on one side to get to the other. This side starts to get this way, like both directions. All right. And this section, and I want to review it again just because it's important here. He said he's talking about all the different types of duljas, all the different types of students, right? From the highest, chok, to the lowest, men. And he's basically saying he's trying to use skillful means through his great compassion, right? Through his great compassion to help students out. So he finds skillful ways to teach people of all varying levels and all varying capacities, chokmen, the whole path, right? So first, he taught. Now, this is where we left it. He taught that the person is empty of something which exists substantially in a self-standing way. Okay. Meaning that the self isn't coming from his own side. The self isn't, how do I say this? You don't control you. All right. You think you control you. You think that I'm blowing my nose right now because, you know, I have boogers in my nose, right? So I pick up the tissue, blow my nose, right? But you don't have control of that because there might be a point that comes along where you have boogers in your nose and you're not able to reach for a napkin or a tissue to clean your nose, right? You won't even be able to lift your arm. Your mind will be like, arm lift, arm go, arm reach, right? Go gadget arms, whatever it is. And you're not able to reach for it. You will no longer have control. You will no longer have the power or the energy to do it, right? And you can lose that power, and the power that you thought you had can go in any second. So the Buddha first taught to his students of varying levels to his students of the lowest level, which I'm not so certain low level means low level, just suspicious of it, calling it men. But he taught that first, that you don't exist substantially in a self standing way. All right, let's go on to the next line. Tracy, can you read the next line, please?
Pene lo rab tu gurpana chunam le dempar yume ki kechewa dang.
Okay. So now he's like, well, to those who have a bit more intelligence, and we talked about intelligence, not like the word low means technically intelligence, right? But we're talking about spiritual intelligence, right? We're not talking about, you know, other types of intelligence. To those who have reached a somewhat higher level, he taught that certain things, chunam, okay, certain entities, dividing them into two types of things. Chunam, like some of them exist in truth, den par yu, right? And some of them, let's see if I can do this. Nope. Dang it. Some of them exist, then they do not, right? Some of them exist den par yu, other ones exist den par me. Okay. So he's saying, well, look, you know, it's true. Some of the things in the universe don't exist by themselves, but some of the things do, right? And that feels easier, right? That's easier for the mind, right? That's not crazy talk, right? It's just that, look, some things don't exist from their own side, but some things do. So just relax. It's okay. Your mind is okay, right? And it's a great step, right? And that's why we start teaching the pen, right? This is where we go, okay, great. Look, this is a pen. Everyone goes, yay, that's a pen. And now the dog comes in the room, takes a bite and says, oh, it's a chew toy. Well, the pen could be a chew toy. It could be, excuse me, the pen could be a pen for a human. The pen could be a chew toy. That object could be a chew toy for a dog. Then you go, oh, wait a second. It's not the pen that's a chew toy. It's an object. It's a thing, right? It's a thing that could be considered a pen or a thing that could be considered a chew toy. Oh, okay, I can do that. So there's one thing that you understand the emptiness of, you see. And then you start moving on to other things. And so your mind is it goes, okay, I'm relaxed. I can handle this. Right? Okay, let's see what happens next. How about Anna, recording English Anna? Can you read the next line?
Yes. Тене ло чоту гюпана тен па ме кян ран чин ги मैं беру रूपा
Drup, drupar.
чупа танпа тан.
Nice, good job. Okay. So now he's saying for those students who are even more advanced, okay, now they have like low choke, right? They're higher intelligence, right? For those who have higher intelligence, he said, nothing exists in truth, den padme, kyang, but there is a way in which things do exist through a nature of their own. Rangshin Gidrup. Okay. Now he's saying, okay, so in the previous one, let's go back to the previous one just for to see how this is. He's saying, look, things can be divided, Kichewa, into two types of things. Now we're in two types of things. Denparye and Denparme, right? Some things exist from their own side. It exists truly, Denparye, and some not at all, Denparme, right? So we're dividing them into two, right? So there's some things that are and some things that aren't. That feels pretty comfortable. Okay. Then for the little bit more advanced student, he's like, well, what I meant to say is that there's a way in which a single thing doesn't exist from its own side. Nothing exists in truth. But there is a way that they exist through a nature of their own. Rangshingi Drup. Okay. Now we're flirting with the upper middle way. Okay. But what school does this sound like for those of you who have been studying other translation classes? There's a way in which things don't exist in truth, yet there's a way in which they do exist through some nature of their own. Let's look at the chat. We just got emojis. That don't mean anything. I love how you all celebrate each other. We could probably put it in the Madhyamika leaning side of the mind only school, where Shengwangs exist in truth, but Kuntags don't, meaning that there's something about changing things that exist in truth. Or you could think about the lower middle way. When you teach the pen, right? And I say, okay, what is this? You say pen. And then I say, okay, so a dog comes in the room and you say, what is this? It's a chew toy, right? Well, who's correct? They're both correct. Wonderful. So then I put this thing down on the table. All the humans, all the dogs leave. Okay. They're all gone. Everyone goes on vacation from the room. Right? At that moment, what is it? And everyone goes, nothing yet. What does that question imply? What is it? Potential, yes. But it also implies that there's an it there. There is something there that's providing the basis in a way that exists from its own side. You see, and that's mainly lower middle way, right? So, and that in a way feels really comfortable for us, right? It's like, oh, well, there's still a thing there. It's just not anything yet because no one's looking yet, but it's still chilling there, hanging out there on the table, right? And the upper middle way would go just a little bit further than that. And upper middle way says, look, there's nothing there from its own side, not even that thing that's waiting to become a pen or a chew toy, right? There's nothing there waiting to be anything. Something like that. Okay. All right, cool. Let's go on to the next line here. How about Marina? Can you read the next line, please?
Yan rapla chotam cherang shin gimme paten pen na chom den de ki kon pa pe tar tuk chok tu gyurpa ni chema te in.
Nice. Thank you. So, young Rabla, right? To the finally to the most advanced students at the most advanced level, which we say that kind of tongue in cheek because there's a diamond way understanding of emptiness too. That includes this. It's just a little bit more. Okay. And it doesn't mean it's any more empty. It's just a different type of gotcha, a different type of thing that we deny. This is the highest level understanding of emptiness. And it says, he teaches tenpa. Okay. It is taught tenpa that all existing things in the universe, cha tamche, cha dharma, all existing, cha existing things, tamche, all existing things, do not have any nature of their own. Okay. And so then he says this last one, chimati, right? This last one, this last viewpoint is, all right, is the highest choke and the ultimate tartuk, the ultimate meaning of the conqueror's teachings, Chomdende, of the Buddha's teachings. So basically, he takes everybody through all of the levels, right? First, it's yourself, you have no control of yourself. Secondly, some things exist from their own side and some things don't. Then we say, well, actually, there's a way in which every object doesn't exist from its own side, exists in truth, but has some kind of nature of its own. There's some kind of nature to things, right? And then finally, he goes, bam, tuchamte rang shingi mepa. All right. And he goes, sorry, folks. What I really meant to say was nothing, all existing things, nothing exists from its own side. Nothing has any nature of its own. Okay. And that's the highest and ultimate meaning of the Buddha's teachings. Okay. So I thought we'll go on a little trip. Okay. We're going to go on a little trip right now. And we're going to pause here and we're going to go through the 6 flavors of emptiness. All right. So we can understand this just a little bit better. And this will help you and it'll also help your students. Because what you can do is when your students have an affliction, you can say, look, you can look at them and be like, where are you? Like you put on your monocle, right? And you're like, which flavor of emptiness, where are they? Right? What's going to help them? Or if they're not having afflictions, right? But they're having just the general affliction of thinking things are coming from their own side, right? You put on that monocle and you're like, what level are they operating at? And what can I say to push them up the next step of the ladder? Right? And if you understand these 6 flavors, you can also teach a class where you touch on all 6 flavors. So every single person in the room can hear what you've said and feel like they understood something and can get value out of it. That's really the point. Tim, I understand Majjhimika Prasangika. I get it. Okay, great, wonderful. If you have such pride, if you're not already a Buddha, okay, if you have such pride, you will never be able to teach anyone. Okay, because all of your students will show up and not one of them will understand emptiness at all, and they will love you to death. Right? They will be like, "Oh, Holy Lama, teach me, teach me, teach me," and you're like, "Okay," and then they won't listen to you because you don't know how to talk to them at their level, and you won't be able to cultivate them. You won't be able to help them grow up and grow through those understandings. Your perfect, prideful understanding of the 6th flavor of emptiness, that nothing tuchamche rangshin gimepa, right? Right? Sure, nothing has any nature of its own. You could repeat that over and over and over again. And guess what? Your students won't understand, right? You teach them through their afflictions, right? It's like a parent caring for a child, like, and you help them grow, right? They're having an affliction. Okay, maybe they just need a hug. Okay. Maybe they need something more than that. And if you can give them a great foundation to move through that, then they'll be able to support themselves when they move from being a teenager to an adult. Like an adult practitioner is one who will have an affliction and be like, oh, what's going on? Why do I have to see this? And they do all the work in their mind with themselves. And then they go, okay, where's my understanding of emptiness? Oh, wow, it's kind of low right now. Oops. Right? And just those thoughts pull you out of the affliction, because the nature of afflictions is if you have a bit of wisdom, the affliction can't survive at the same time. Right? Do you want to know how you can go from anger to relaxation in 5 seconds? Study emptiness. How about never have any anger arise again? Oh, God, that'd be so nice. Wouldn't that be such a relief to just not have any anger anymore? Like, how much time do we spend wasted on afflictions, wasted on these negative emotions, preventing you from reaching those highest goals? Right? So here we go. Let's go through all 6. First one. How about Teresa? Can you read the first one?
Takchik rangwar chengi dak mepa.
Okay, here we go. Emptiness flavor 1. And I gave you guys the answers, okay. Right? And it's interesting, right? Emptiness flavor 1 is a lack of a self, dakme, right? Which is unchanging, tak, chik, right? Whole, and chik rang or wang, oh, crap. Hold on, sorry. Vocabulary slipped out of my head. Independent, right? Okay. Right. It's a lack of a self, which has Chen, which is unchanging, whole, and independent. Wrong, right? So a self that's not unchanging, a self that's not whole, and a self that's not independent. Right? That's the first flavor of of emptiness. Okay. How do we soften this for students? Right? someone's having an affliction, someone's upset, they're like, rah, 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 rah. They're yelling, they're crying, whatever's going on for them, and it's awful for them. And your heart opens up and you're like, what can I do for this person? Right. And you give them a hug, right? Or if a hug's not appropriate because, for whatever reason, you can still support them through it. You can give them a hug with your words. You can give them a hug with, listening to them. There's lots of different ways to acknowledge and validate and see somebody. This simply means this too will pass. This will change, right? This pain that you have will change. There's no you who's going to keep going through this forever. And that thing that you're going through isn't forever either. If it were forever, you would, whomever, when someone started yelling at you, they would always be yelling at you and they would never stop all day and all night long. Just someone yelling at you. Right? In fact, it would never just start. They would have always been yelling at you since time of no beginning, right? Logically speaking, right? And some people suffer. I mean, you suffer from this, like at an intense level. Someone who suffers from like a schizophrenic disorder or something like that might see and hear somebody yelling at them 24 hours a day. And there's no amount of convincing that you can tell them that they're not there yelling. Just because I don't perceive it doesn't mean they're not perceiving it, right? And it won't stop. You see, that's an extreme of this, right? But, someone who's yelling at you this morning probably isn't yelling at you right now. Although you're probably hearing their yelling still in your head because you're upset about it. That's why when it happens, let it go. Don't think about it anymore, which is nearly impossible, of course. Right? It's easy to say, hard to do. Let it go. Like, find ways to let it go. Sing the song, right? Let it go, right? Let it go. Good. But, 2 seconds later, the song's over, you're feeling good about it. And then you're like, God, I can't believe that person said that. And then you're like, I'm just supposed to let that go. At least you let it go for 2 minutes while you were singing the song, right? And it changed. So if it changed, then, it can prove to you that it doesn't have to be a constant thing. All right. So the gotcha is things are empty of being unchanging. Right. Okay. Emptiness flavor number 2. How about let's see here. Who wants to read? How about Jackie?
Rang Pai, Hub Pai, Sayo Ki, Rob Pai, Dong Medpa,
Doc Mepa.
Dak Medpa.
Nice. Good job. Your reading's getting very, very good here. So here we go. So again, there's no self which exists, say you. All right. There's no self which is self-standing and substantial, right? One Zeya means one and the same, right? Rankya, chupa, right? There's no lack of self which is self-standing and substantial, right? This first one, okay, what's the difference between the first one? The first one is saying there's no self which is unchanging, whole, and independent. This too will change, right? This one is saying, well, things are empty of having a controller. You think you're controlling your body. You like this one. You think that you can control your affliction. Wait, Tim, didn't you tell me if I think about emptiness that I can stop my affliction? Yes. But why did you think about emptiness in the first place? Where did that come from? Right. even thinking about emptiness you may not have control of today in the moment, but maybe you have some kind of control over the seed that you're planting so that you can have that wisdom arise when you need it. All right. So we're starting with the first thing is like, oh, things will pass, right? This too will pass. This will change. Nothing is forever. And it's very difficult when someone is suffering immensely over a long, long period of time, like any kind of pain in their body or any kind of sickness, right? You know, saying to someone this will change when they've spent 10 years in horrendous pain is not, you know, can they even hear that, right? And that's also why leisure and fortune is important. You know, if the person's in such pain that they can't practice, you know, and what do you do for that person? You try to make them comfortable. Try to make them comfortable, like, and then trick them into planting seeds, right? The thing that's bothering them, teach them emptiness about the pen. Don't teach them the emptiness of their pain. They'll put it together eventually. Okay. Number 3, Anastasia.
Sukdan sukjingi tsema seishengi dongwa.
Okay. This means that the form, okay, let me change this bit. The object, shuk, and the holder of the object, the subject, are empty of gitongwa, are empty of 2 different substances. Sema, right? Sema seishen, are empty of a sema, which is a valid perception, seishen. The perception of the object and subject is empty of 2 separate semas around the 2 different things because they're from the same substance. Okay. What does that mean? For you Tibetan people, that's a semasation. Semasation is a great thing to study. All right. So here's my thought on this one. This is primarily the mind-only school, one of the mind-only school. Okay. So what is it that this object and subject are empty of? They're empty of being of a different substance, right? They're empty of being 2 different things, right? So look at this tree, like the tree is growing and then it splits into 2, right? And I like that there's the bright light at the bottom. And it looks like there's a wolf in the moon too. What are these 2 things? Subject and object, right? Shuk, shuk, shin. The subject and the object come from the same seed, right? The person who's perceiving and the thing that's perceived are coming from the same seed. All right. So this picture of the tree is really helpful because the seed is like the trunk. And when this school says when the seed opens, it opens up into 2 things. It opens up into the object perceived, and it opens into the you who's perceiving the object. They look like separate things, but they look like they're from separate things, but they're from the same thing. Right? And so they're from the same seed. And so in this way that this tree is one unit, even though the branches are split, when you're perceiving something, it's you who's perceiving. You and the thing perceived are from the same seed. So it's empty of coming from a separate substance. The shuk and the shuk shin, the yul and the yul shin, the object and the holder of the object, which is what we call a subject in Buddhism. The subject in Buddhism is called the holder of the object, right? So that's how you can see how they're very, very related. You and the thing itself come from the same seed. All right. Right. So basically what's going on here is that what we see and the we who see it are not coming from two seeds. And that's an incredibly powerful thought. Right. It's a very, very powerful thought. That you thought that they were two seeds. You thought you were you and the pen was the pen. Even if you believe that the pen is coming from you in some way, right? The you and the pen are different seeds. But oh, that's a good question. Laura asked, is an application of the third flavor. Exactly. You're fully responsible for the affliction you have in a moment and the thing that you see. They're from the same seed. If you change the seed, you have a different you and a different result. And that's why you can stop afflictions. All right, let's go into the next one. Okay. Number 4, how about, Sarah, do you want to try a sentence? I don't think you've ever said, maybe,
Sure.
Here we go.
Yes, thanks. Rangi chip pe te nye
Tane. Yeah.
Tane, thank you. Tane juk pe juk shi yin pa rang mi son ye ki drupa tongwa
Drupe. The sa makes it a pe versus a pa.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. All right. So what is empty of existing by definition? Senni ki drup. Okay. The fact that something is called something, right? The fact that any particular key thing is called what it is devoid of existing by definition. All right. So an easy example is pen. What's the word in your language for pen? Lapis, bolígrafo. There's the ones I know in Spanish, right? What's a pen in Chinese? B, plume. In French, if I'm pronouncing it correctly, right? Right. Crayon for Jackie, right? That's Jackie, I love your sense of humor, right? The fact that a pen is not always called a pen is what this means. Okay. I thought, but you call it, but like that's an obvious level of it. But what about something a little less obvious, right? the fact that something is called something is because of your seeds to see it that way. Right. And my example here is like the boss, angry boss comes to your desk at 5 p.m. on a Friday, right? And basically starts yelling at you. They're red in the face. Their voice is loud. It's stern. Their face is like a little red, like, what people look like when they get angry, like they kind of crunch their face, and sometimes they start foaming at the mouth, and that's intense anger, right? I see angry boss. Now, at the same time, on the other side of the room is the boss's partner, and they're going out for a hot date on a Friday night, right? And before they leave, like, the partner shows up and it's like, let's go, honey. And and the boss is like, hold on, I gotta talk to Tim before I leave. Goes over to the desk, yells at Tim, right? To me, it's angry boss. To the partner, I've used this example before, right? Is like the stud muffin, hottest dude of all time. I can't wait to go to dinner with him and then take him home afterwards, right? Different names, same thing, right? Partner sees strength. The partner sees leadership. The partner sees all of those things, right? I see angry boss on a Friday night and I want to go out with my partner and go to dinner, but I have to stay for another 3 hours because I screwed something up and I'm getting yelled at. Right. No, Jackie. Jackie just said, well, you don't know what seed the boss is planting because you don't know what's going on from their own side. That's a different story. All right. Things are empty of being called what they are automatically, right? And this is really great for those of you who are really good at story making, right? One thing happens and then a whole series of details flow from it, right? You see something and then you create a story around it. Da-da-da-da. They said this, therefore that, da-da-da. Now I have a whole narrative that I'm upset about, right? Ensue my next novel, depending how bad the affliction is, right? Maybe it's just a little short story. Maybe it's just a comment on an Instagram post, or maybe it's a full-blown novel, right? This is great when your afflictions tell a different story, right? And the other example of this that's classically used in our organization would be one partner is sitting on the couch on their phone, right? Like this, right? And then his partner walks in the room and he's like, oh, hey, honey, what's up? Puts the phone down, right? Like, and turns it upside down, right? And she doesn't react in the moment, but then it like sticks with her and she's like, well, what did that mean? Like, what was he doing on it? Like, and then starts creating a whole story around what they saw. And the whole story could be, he's finally met somebody else and he's been talking with her while I'm out and I caught him doing it. And now I know the truth that he's cheating on me and all this, like, and then she's like, oh no, I'm just creating a story. No, it's not what's going on. But the story becomes so powerful, right? That in the middle of the night, wakes up while he's sleeping, grabs his phone and like hovers it over his face. So the face ID opens the phone, right? And then starts like trying to find who is it that he's talking to, right? And then all of a sudden sees an order from Amazon, or better yet, like sees the round trip ticket to a beautiful island destination on the date of their 10th anniversary. While he was buying the plane ticket, right? And of course, he bought first class, right? She walked in and he's like, oh shit, it's a surprise. Dang. Like, oh, hey, honey, how are you? Right? He wasn't cheating, he was celebrating, you see. And that's how the story goes. That's how it goes, right? You know, and then all of a sudden, poof, in that moment, the affliction vanishes, right? You want to kill an affliction? Figure out the details, right? Maybe you're just creating a story, an untrue story that created and upset you, right? Where what was actually going on, someone was treating you in the most divine way possible. You see. All right. Thank you, everybody. Really happy you stayed stuck with us. I'm very, very happy that all of you want to study this. I love translating this. This is so much fun. And yeah, so we'll be back. I think we're starting again in May at some point. I think beginning of May, we'll be starting with the continuation of this course, another 10 classes. And we'll keep deep diving into it. I will send all the notes that I have and everything for you to review. If you want to write your own translations, if you want to look at the translations that are not fully done or baked yet, nor checked by the boss himself, you know, but they're I will confidently say they're not bad. I can say that somewhat confidently. They're not bad, you know, but that's the point. Like, we do the work, we struggle through it, and then something beautiful can come from all of this. So thank you, everybody. Thanks for coming. Thank you for doing all this work. Thank you, translators. Thank you, tech people. All the recording, all the platforms. I very much appreciate all of you. And all right. And if you can put up on the screen, Gina, next Tuesday, we're having a special class about a deep dive into emptiness, how to plant the seeds to have that highest experience, chuchok, where you see a seed ripening in your mind for the first time. All right. And if there it comes. All right, cool. So that's going to be next Tuesday at 6 a.m. It's a 2-hour class. I hope all of you can join this, and please share it with everyone, because it's a very, very, it's a topic that I love, and it's a topic dear to my heart. So I hope to see you there. Thank you all for coming, and please say goodbye to each other. Hopefully, we'll see you next Tuesday, and then we'll be back in May for the next 10 classes. So yeah, I have one more thing to share. Coming up in April, look for it online. We're going to be starting a new Lam Rim at Diamond Mountain. It's called The Song of My Spiritual Life. And it's the one time when Geshe Kappa talks about his own practice and not writing deep, deep things about the philosophy of it. He just goes on and talks about his own beautiful practice. And this Lam Rim, so what is Lam Rim? Lam Rim is a lot of things, including preparation for the Diamond Way. And in April, we're going to be starting a 4-part series with Geshe Michael at Diamond Mountain and online as a preparation for, I don't know what it's going to look like, but preparation for Geshe introducing Diamond Way once again to everybody. So in 2026, he will start a new commentary presentation of the Diamond Way. And you need to come to this course. You have to attend and you have to do it. No excuses and no exceptions. All right. You can do it online. You can do it in person, although we're pretty full at this point. There might be some camping or some hotel spaces left. But we'll be doing it in April, July, October, and also in Kyoto again in December. And that course those courses will be a requirement to be able to attend in 2026. And if you miss one, we'll figure out how to catch everybody up. We're not going to be exclusionary because that's not what we do. But it's going to be a really powerful thing. So start thinking about it for yourself. It is not a replacement for the 18 courses, by the way. All right. It's not a replacement for your 18 ACI courses, and it's not a replacement for the Diamond Way 18 courses. But we'll see what happens. Cool. That's in April. Look for that on our website. The sign up is coming soon. Thank you all very much. And now you can say goodbye to each other.
Bye, everyone. Thank you so much.
Auf Wiedersehen allesamt. Vielen Dank.
Thank you, Tim.
Thank you so much. You're awesome.
Gracias, Tim.
Thank you, Professor Tim. Thank you, everyone. Good night.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Thank you so much.
See you on Tuesday.
Gracias, Maestro Tim. Gracias a todos.
All right, I'll give you guys a heart just for shits and giggles. It's more than shits and giggles. Love you guys. Bye.
Спасибо, до свидания.